and we are live. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Phototherapy Happy Hour. Rick, Susan, and Alec, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great, and we're so happy that we have a special guest of honor. Susan Sammon, the iPhone queen, is here because the topic of today's session is iPhone photography, actually smartphone photography. So, I mean, we're amazed at the pictures that were posted, right, Alec?
Oh, they're absolutely amazing, and in Susan's honor, I'm wearing a collared shirt.
Very
nice. Hey, he dressed up just for you, Susan.
You forgot to tell us.
Well, before we get going with the pictures, what are you guys drinking at happy hour?
Alec, why don't you start this time?
I am drinking business as usual, a Snapple iced tea. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Well, I have a Citra Dreams, our new favorite IPA. We love IPAs.
I'm drinking the same thing.
Out of a what? Out of a Taj, though.
Yeah, out of a glass that says Taj beer. Pay no attention to that glass.
Well, and I'm drinking, my last of the Samuel Adams Porch Rockers. This is a seasonal brew that I love. It's a great summer beer, and I have 1 6-pack left and can't find them anymore because it's the beginning of summer when they come out. So
that's it. Well, listen, if any of our members are want to chime in and tell us what they're drinking, we'd love to know because it is happy hour.
Absolutely. Okay, so Rick, why don't we get started? So in this show, we're going to do what? We're going to do iPhone shots taken with iPhone, right?
Well, actually, we use the iPhone, but we change it to smartphone. No, Susan and I can't believe that people use anything else but the iPhone because the iPhone is so amazing. But the pictures here, again, Alec, do you want to just talk before we get going about the topics? You're the topic king.
Yes. So first of all, just an update on the topics. We did add several new ones, including long exposure, backyard image, rocks and minerals. We also eliminated a few to make them easier to find. But in order to be selected to have your image reviewed this week, you had to post it with a topic that said smartphone images. So if you're disappointed that you don't see your image, it's not because it was a great image. It's because we just didn't see it because it wasn't posted with a topic. So please remember to post your topics.
Yeah, it's also a great way for other folks to find whether they want to look at landscape pictures, close-up macros, smartphone, long exposures, whatever. If you click on that topic, you'll be able to see all the pictures under that post. And as Susan found out, this is and as I found out too, it's much easier to do this on your computer, adding that topic after you post. Okay, so let's take a look at this first image. This looks like an image I'd see like in a museum, like a still life I'd see in a museum. I think Michael Smith did an amazing job, not only with the capture, but with the texture and the frame.
Yeah, this makes me hungry. I love garlic. We use garlic on just about everything that we cook. And this is definitely, another of those pictures with a really cool, great textured background, right? And I love the detail, the color, kind of an interesting garlic, really, with that dark color to it. Is that a specific kind of garlic? Do you know?
Susan?
No, it looks like traditional garlic, but what I really like is that he says there that he used Snapseed, which is my favorite processing app. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a part of the people Nick people. Anyway, I love it because it's tone on tone, and boy, you can hang that up in your kitchen.
Yeah, I like the negative space around it and those 3 pieces of the garlic at the bottom. Again, I think if you went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, you'd see a picture. You'd see a picture like this.
Weston has one of green pepper, so people do still life with food goods. It's a great way to study the shapes. Beautiful.
I love it, but I think you would agree the texture adds a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look at this one. This could have been added under the shadows topic, but Stephanie did an amazing job here. She's on her way to work and she sees this and she liked the shadows, but this illustrates what Susan always says, always have your camera with you, right?
She obviously just had her camera with her and she could just, boom, capture that image. I love it. I love the color. Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you find in the most mundane places, right? The patterns here and the light. There's a great interplay between the patterns and the light and the way that the shadows are casting on the concrete.
Yeah, and because the sensor is so small, everything's in focus, right? So if you wanted to get a shot like this with a mirrorless or a digital SLR, you need a wide-angle lens, small aperture, right? You need to do all these things. With the smartphone, you just set it and shoot. And I love the way, Juan, you and I talk about this, where a subject goes from, one corner of the frame to the other corner of the frame. And the way this is going from the bottom left to the top right, I think is amazing. And the color is really cool.
Well, I think one of the things that it does, it really draws your eye from, one angle over to the other. Again, I love how people find the most interesting patterns in the most common places.
Yeah, I really like this. A great crop. And again, she put a frame around it. I think that's one of the fun things that you like to do, right?
Yeah, I like to it's so easy on your phone. You can take it and then process and finish it all, in the same, holding it in your hand. What I think is Stephanie must have a job where she has to get to work really early because she says I was going to work when the sun was just rising.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the long shadows.
Well, great job. Here's another shot. From
Hey Rick,
Stephanie.
before we move on, I just want a couple of things in the chat room.
Yeah.
Michael indicated that the last picture was a garlic bulb, and it indicates it's the most entertaining vegetable. And Susan, you're getting a lot of hellos, and a lot of people seem to be choosing Dr. Pepper as their beverage of choice today.
Oh,
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
That is interesting. Here's another shot from Stephanie, and Susan turned me on to this, how great the iPhone is for macro photography. What about that lens that you used?
Yeah, I don't use it anymore. This is really nice. This is very nice. I love the color. And yeah, you can get really close, but with smartphone photography, what you do have to do is you have to learn how to be really still when you're really close because it will show any kind of shake. But I really think that's terrific. How'd you get the bug to pose there?
Yeah. I love the fact that, this looks like a milkweed to me, or a type of milkweed. And I love the fact that we, because Stephanie included the flowers, both at the bottom and at the top. I think it gives you a sense of place. And it didn't just focus on the bug itself, but gave us kind of a grounding effect by having those flowers at the bottom. And they're all nice and sharp. Again, something that would be hard to do with a macro lens. It's good. This is what's great about the small picture or the small sensors in the phones. You get this incredible depth of field.
And she used Snapseed also because that frame is in Snapseed. It's kind of like a broken impression of a white frame. It's perfect for that. It's really good.
Hey, Alec, what would Don Komarechka call that bug?
That is the actor. The actor and critical element of the scene.
That is the actor, but who would have thought? Don Komarechka uses thousands of dollars worth of gear to get a shot like this. Yeah, and he could probably make a bigger enlargement, right? But I think this is really good.
I think if he were on our class tonight at 6:30 with Linda and I, he'd have wonderful things to say about this image because it hits on all the things that he looks for.
I really like that picture, and that the actor is slightly off center, I think is really cool. Now Susan Sammon knows this place. Pamela at the camp. I mean, she took this picture, but I love the treatment. Right? It's just not the typical green trees, right?
Yeah, they're absolutely different. It looks like a sepia tone of some kind, right?
Yeah, it looks like a sepia tone, and
a Snapseed.
And mobile Lightroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, really looks good.
I love these live oaks. Is just the way that they crisscross each other, and these guys are super old trees. Beautiful light. And the fact that we have is that a person in there? It's hard for me to see it in a small screen.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense it gives you a nice sense of scale.
Hey, Alec, maybe we could ask the people, and you can let us know how many people use mobile Lightroom. Like Juan, do you use it?
Yeah, I do. I use mobile Lightroom both on the iPhone and on the iPad. I actually love editing on mobile Lightroom on the iPad with the Apple Pencil.
Yeah, Claudia Cohen uses that. You saw her in Costa Rica. You don't use it anymore, right?
The iPad?
No, mobile Lightroom.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't use it. I don't use
I
it.
have so many apps, but it's a good one.
It's definitely a good one. So yeah,
Okay,
Alec,
so if you are, please respond in the chat room whether or not you're using mobile Lightroom. Say that 5 times fast if you're drinking Snapple, and the answer later on.
Hey, Kevin did a great job here. You know, as Juan and I always say, the most important thing in a photograph is the mood and the feeling. And look at the way the fog and the light create just such a beautiful mood and feeling of the day starting. It's just, I just love this picture.
Yeah, I love the light. I love how the light is coming in and giving you this really nice glow. And that's one of the beautiful things about the fog, right? You get that when the light, especially that early morning light hits that fog, it just seems like, you know, this glow, almost ethereal looking.
Yeah, I really like the composition too.
And the phones are getting so much better at collecting or taking images at low light. This is an improvement every time you get another generation of the smartphone. So this is like amazing in the low light, how much information is there. And I really like the telephone line.
I was just going to say that.
They really say to me, rural America, like, you know, if you took, if it's easy enough to take them out, you can do it in Snapseed. There's a healing tool, you could take them out, but I really like them. I think that they set the whole picture.
I think Scott Kelby has a whole class on how to take a telephone pole to telephone line.
But I like them.
But I like that too. And the framing, the composition, the light, the exposure. I don't know how much processing went into this, but this is a pretty backlit barn. Yeah, we can see detail on this side of the barn. So I think this is really, really a wonderful shot. Coming up next, Alec, is Gerardo with us as usual?
I don't see him, and usually he's in more than one place, but I don't see him.
Oh, yeah, right. He's on Facebook, on YouTube. Anyway, we picked one of his his pictures. I love the way that this fern is like, you know, like kind of like just like dancing through the frame. I like that he did black and white. I probably would take out, you know, this little piece of the fern down here. But I love the treatment. Again, taking the color out of the scene takes out some of the reality, which is one of the reasons why Ansel Adams got famous. Right.
I mean, I love the fact that, you know, most people wouldn't think of doing this, but did a backlit fern. So we get to see that texture in the leaves, right? You know, glowing through with a backlight, and that dark line. Somebody would look at the dark part of the fern, of the line of the stem and of the tip, as kind of distracting, but you know, it actually gives you more definition. It makes the image a little bit more mysterious as well, right?
Yeah, and I really like the background, that gray background. He did. Too bad he's not here.
And I would like the fact that the leaves at the end aren't fully unfurled yet, and so you have that sense that, you know, something's it's happening little by little. Very nice.
Really.
I'm confident he'll join us for a replay.
Yeah.
But we do have a few. Some feedback on Lightroom Mobile.
Okay.
There are. Lynn uses it in combination with Snapseed. There are a few people like Doug who use it to manage their Lightroom collection so that they can carry their portfolios on the go.
That's a good tip.
Some are using it to capture images and then doing the real work on a larger screen when they get back home. So there are some people that are using it for various purposes.
Cool. Okay, our friend Mike Cullivan took this shot with a smartphone.
I love this photograph.
With the iPhone, I mean,
it has so much going for it. It has like the subject, the sky, that big wave crashing onto the rock, the outgoing, you feel the pull of the surf that's being pulled out from the bottom. Oh, it's
No,
fantastic.
the clouds, everything.
That's fantastic.
You know, Juan, as you know, you and I teach workshops. We'd be there setting up our tripods, right? People shoot at the lowest possible ISO to get the cleanest possible shot. Set a small aperture to get everything in focus. Choose a shutter speed, to either freeze or blur the action. And here, Mike, is Mike here?
Yeah, what lighthouse is
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him, but this is a Portland Head Lighthouse, which they live like 15, 20 minutes away from. So
Yeah.
they can go out there anytime they see nice weather, which is to me is the best time.
Say what?
I was saying,
I agree with Phyllis. Phyllis comments, this is one of the best seascapes I've ever seen. Exclamation point. This is wonderful photo.
We love Phyllis. She's been on a lot of workshops with us. Costa Rica, Casper, Wyoming. I can't remember all the places. And so we have some of her.
Mike is here. It's my
yeah, he
iPhone
is.
is my landscape camera.
Oh, it's his landscape camera.
yeah.
Well, Mike knows Linda Cullivan, his wife. We've been up to their place. And this is an example. Susan, you could talk about this. I mean,
I think Linda, you did an amazing job at this. It's so beautiful. Talk about the feeling. I think you say Snapseed, but it looks a little distressed FX to me as well. But it's just the texture is just, and the tone is just lovely.
and are the birds real?
You made it like a painting.
Yeah, and the birds really
Yeah,
make it for me.
Yeah.
It's her tree, she says.
I add the birds all the time in Distressed FX, but the texture there,
Oh, yeah.
textures, Scott Kelby says if you're driving around and see a tree, a lone tree, jump out of the car and take a picture of it. But the treatment here, I'd like to see the original because I'm sure it's pretty flat, but this is
It's
just
so good.
amazing.
Another thing that I really like about it, it's halfway between having leaves on and leaves off.
Yeah.
So that sometimes, people don't like a tree with none of the leaves on. It looks like sometimes Halloweenish, and so this, I love that the bottom leaves are still on, but the top leaves have been blown off already. Really nice.
Yeah, and
People
I
are
like
really
the fact.
reacting to
Yeah.
this in terms of.
What'd you say, Alex?
Moody. The feedback is moody, captivating, but actually. Linda actually had a great tip for lighthouse. She said the best time to shoot a lighthouse is when in bad weather, because I guess when the water is really cooperating.
Good point.
Wow. Yeah, this is.
You
This
can
is
see
an-
that sea is churning.
So Mike and Linda are here, Alec?
They're both here.
Well, we're missing them, and we're missing Mike is the best lobster chef on the planet. We go up there. No, they invited us for dinner. We had like 37 lobsters between two people.
I never thought I'd say I had enough at a sitting, but I had to say I can't have it.
Oh, look at Robert's picture. Juan, you do a workshop here, or you've done workshops in Canyonlands?
I used to do workshops in Canyonlands, quite a few of them. I haven't done them in a while because it's getting kind of a crowded place. So the experience for workshops is not the best anymore. But it is. I mean, it's just a spectacular place. I love Canyonlands. I love the Green River overlook, where you overlook the White Rim Canyon. But yeah, this is beautiful. I think that I love the view of the angle here. I think I may have, cropped in a little bit at the bottom because that rock at the bottom doesn't really add much. I love the green and the beige ground there, but not so much the rock at the bottom. So crop up a little bit, Robert, and remove some of that distracting elements in the foreground.
I would agree. The expression is that if it doesn't add to the photograph, take it out. So, this is kind of boring area down here, but this is spectacular. Plus, look at the layers here. We have a layer here, and this cloud up here.
And the mountains in the distance with the snow on
And the
it.
mountains in the distance, and, a pretty darn good exposure, right?
Yeah.
That we have really bright areas up here that are correctly exposed, and down here is amazing. So, well, speaking, Juan, you said this place is crowded?
Oh, yeah, it gets crowded nowadays.
Well, do you know Nick Page?
Of course.
Well, Nick Page, what he does is wherever he goes, Canyonlands, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, wherever, he takes all his photos of Mesa Arch
Right.
because he doesn't want people to find out these new places. So, Phyllis Webster, we chose this picture. Again, we have these great birds in there. Again, I love the composition. I love the texture. It's telling a story. I think with the iPhone, adding these textures and effects has just made it so much easier. To do this in Photoshop, I'd have to spend a lot of time.
I love the feel of this, Phyllis. It's great. It's a distressed FX. Anybody who doesn't have that app, you want to get that app. It really gives you a lot of creative possibilities. And I think that this is just beautifully done.
Yeah, I mean, I love, again, I think that this distress effects creates this sort of really moody looking images, which, adds a lot to the scene. I think that, this shot straight out of the camera wasn't probably, it would have been interesting, but it wouldn't have the impact that it does now when you add this sort of this mood to the scene. It almost looks like something you would find hanging on a, like an old faded photograph hanging on, some lobby of some, hotel in the Southwest. I mean, and I'm saying that in a good way. It's just it is has a lot of interest, lots of impact, and then the faded colors and the mood of it feels like a really old image.
I mean, I can see this hanging in Frida Kahlo's house, Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivero's house. Hey, Alec, maybe we could add yet another topic. Adding birds to a scene. I don't know how we could word it to make it short, but added birds maybe. Because I do this all the time, and actually it becomes a joke with some of our friends.
We said, there are those birds again.
Okay. By the way, Alex was talking about how we pick the pictures. We pick the pictures without looking at the names because we like the pictures. So that's why some people here have two or more pictures in this little presentation today. But I really love this picture that Phyllis did. Again, it's the texture, and the framing around. Look at the top there.
She did a very nice job. I love the angel's face, the way you just are compelled to look at her and her looking into the distance, and you're wondering what is she thinking, or what message are she sending? It's beautiful.
Well, actually, Phyllis says, I think I have a guardian angel. So, Alec, maybe we could do a poll, see how many people think they have a guardian angel in these stressful times. But, I like the way that the subject is placed off center. And this shows that Phyllis has a very good eye. And the color and the texture, all these, not all these pictures, but a lot of these pictures, the reality is taken out by the texture and by the framing. Okay, Joe, my friend Joe Pelican from, Long Island. He heads up this great, is Joe here, Alec? He heads up,
I believe I saw him.
He heads up this great camera club on Long Island. So basically, he spent a lot of time putting this picture together. He did work in Photoshop. He says the sky and the water were added. And I just, what I really like? I like the car, of course. Never underestimate the importance of a good subject. The sky is great, but I also like the way the lines kind of frame the shot.
Yeah, the lines on the pavement there, right? The way that they position the car and they guide your eye to look across the entire vehicle.
And the black windows, I think, he had a sense of mystery.
Yeah. He said, I saw this old rust bucket. It's it's fun. It's playful because, of course, it's a rusty car, and that's not something we really see. And he made it seem like it's on the road working around there. It's great.
I wish I had a rust bucket like that. Yeah. That'd be cool to drive around it.
Yeah, man. I would love to drive a car that looked like that. That was drivable, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. Also, this probably gets about 4 or 6 miles to the gallon.
You mean 4 gallons to the mile?
Yeah. Look at this shot. Well, I'm thinking of our Prius, where I think the last time I looked, we got 91 miles. Prius Prime, we got 91 miles to the gallon. Tommy Armstrong, who was actually a guest on our show.
So I thought this was a drone shot. When I looked at it, I said to Rick, "Oh wow!
Yeah.
I wonder if he put his iPhone on a drone." And then it's not, in fact, right?
No, it's
It's parking lot
parking lot art.
created.
Yeah, it's asphalt. He's saying probably with some pollen in it.
But doesn't it have a landscape
Yeah.
look?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like you said, it could either be a landscape or it could be a drone shot looking down at some river, some tributary, or something like that.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
Well,
Tommy is really good the way he sees things in some incredible places.
Tommy is really, really
Including
good.
parking lots.
Yeah, I have a lot of pictures of like oil spots. Actually, remember we were in on the Oregon coast in that marine junkyard with Alex, and there were these oil spots on the
Yeah,
ground.
they had like a rainbow of
People were
colors.
getting amazing
Yeah.
pictures of oil spots. So always have your phone with you. Susan loved the shot because
This is what I said. What I love about iPhone photography is in this split second, we all know it was probably gray, raining, crazy, and then the sun comes out and the rainbow comes out. You can pick up your phone and grab that. I think if you had to, if you're not so accustomed to a big camera, you might miss it. So I love that they were so free to just capture that moment between storm and rainbow. Beautiful.
actually it's a double rainbow. I just noticed that.
Oh,
Look at that.
and look, it's in Springdale,
I
outside
know.
of Zion.
Yeah, I mean
I love
that's the entrance to Zion. As soon as I saw it, I recognized it.
Oh, yeah. And look at the mountains in the background too, of course.
And the really nice reflection down here.
Yeah.
I love it. So great job, Doug. Bonnie, who posted a ton of pictures here. Bonnie, thanks for sharing this image, this wonderful image with us. Susan, look at this.
Again, it is surprising, but I have found with your smartphone, you can take close-ups of flowers. You have to really be, as I said, really still when you take them when you're that close up. But I think this is great. I love how it's so dark and that pink is so vivid, and then it's dark around the edges.
You know what I might have done if I were going to process this, like you were saying before, Juan, with the Canyonland shot,
Mm-hmm.
the gray in the foreground or the rocks in the foreground didn't add anything. I'm not sure this brown up here adds anything. So I might crop it down a little or darken it in Photoshop after I took the picture. But the subject, she calls this lavender splash.
Very pretty. I love the yellow in the center of the flowers.
Yeah.
It really draws your eye in.
Alec, how are the comments coming?
Comments are coming in strong. Tommy indicated that his picture was pollen in the parking lot.
Pollen.
Oh boy, I'm gonna
It was
sneeze.
pollen, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that are motivated to keep carrying their phones with them and to take pictures with their phones. They're really, really impressed with the images, and we do have a comment here that Steve Gotts made. Is I won't read the whole thing, but it ends with the point that is a great photo is a great photo regardless of how it was captured. It is cool that you are taking the time to make that obvious. So I think that's a very important point, because anybody that just says, well, I just shoot with my iPhone or my smartphone, if you have the eye, the interest, and are looking for things, you can this whole session proves that you can capture wonderful images.
Absolutely. And we want to thank Steve for being so active in the phototherapy Facebook group. He's a great photographer. I'm very inspired by looking at a lot of his images. So here's another shot by Pamela. I play the piano, and I would love I would love to play the piano in this setting. This was taken at the Dolly Museum, the Dolly exhibit.
In a botanical garden in Sarasota. How fun is this?
That is awesome. It's so surreal, so interesting. I feel like somebody, like some nymph is going to come out of the water and start playing the piano right there.
Somewhat?
So, a nymph.
Okay. Well, I love that. Usually we say Juan, dead sentence deadly. But, I think I'm going to stop saying that because it works so many times. There's pianos in just about in the center of the frame. But I also think the orange and the green work, right?
Well, the processing's a little cranked up, but I think it really works with this. You know, it's like, because it's like so
Yeah, it's a dolly.
stimulating, like a dolly. Exactly. So there you go.
Well, you know, some people will say, you know, it's overprocessed, things like that. You know, and whenever I talk about that, I say, look at the work of, what's his name, Kincaid, the painter Kincaid. Now, he died a gazillionaire because of all his overprocessed pictures.
Could you just go back? I think when you start with now the built-in HDR, if you're using an iPhone, it gets you started on this. Like you look, there's a waterfall in the back and this in the front. It automatically will take an HDR image and give you a start on that.
I think that what Susan said should not be overlooked. Usually, like in the past, you had to set it up for HDR. Now it's automatic.
Yeah, now it's automatic. On the newer phones, there's not even a setting for it. It just...
So the dynamic range is increased. I don't know how it works. Juan, do you know how it works? Does it take several pictures or?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. It takes, I think it's 9 pictures in succession, and it picks, I forget the exact number. Then it picks 3 out of those, discards them, and does an HDR merge. It does that in a fraction of a second. You remember how long it used to take when we were doing things with, Photomatics or whatnot? You go and you go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, we used to have to use a special app, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Glenn taught me how to do it. You had to press on the brightest spot in the picture and the darkest spot of the picture, and then you had to blend them together and everything.
It just happens instantaneous.
Yeah.
So all that technical stuff aside, which is, of course, important, I think this is just, this might make a great album cover.
It is. I think Taylor Swift needs this. No.
Is Pamela here? You can't see. Okay, my friend Louis Kemper.
I'm sorry, did you ask me if Pamela's watching? Yeah, she's on and contributing.
Well, she is amazing. I mean, she contributes so much. We're so happy that she's here. My friend Louis Kemper, I've known him for a long time. He goes out in his canoe. He's the master of photographing herons, green herons. You'll see a lot of these pictures on our page and on his page and on different Facebook pages. Like Juan, he's a naturalist. He loves nature. I just love the composition here. Getting back to the rules of composition, one is don't place the horizon line in the center of the frame. But once again, here it works. I mean, I think it works because of the reflection.
Yeah, and it's interesting the way that the ripples in the water make that reflection interesting. I think that, if it had been a perfect, reflection, I don't think it would have worked as well. I think the texture in the water and the way that it plays with the texture in the clouds make it stand out.
I wonder if he's on a kayak or something. He said
he is.
Oh, okay.
He is.
So this is another thing, like bringing your phone, on a kayak so you can take a picture. I think is makes a lot more sense than bringing your big camera and have to worry about all that. So how wonderful is this? I would say that I would call this peaceful sunset on a river. You feel the chill in this one. It's beautiful.
Well, our son says that don't bring anything on a boat that you're not willing to lose.
Yeah. He used to teach sailing, and that was what they told all the students.
Look at Ted Johnson's picture, an aerial shot.
Look at how
we've seen everything from close-ups to whatever. But look at this. Look at the texture and the tone and the depth and the color in Ted Johnson's aerial shot.
Look at his line. It says, "Take the window seat."
Yeah.
So he's on a plane and he's got the window seat. The captain comes out and says, "Whoa, today we got a good day. Look out there, you see Mount McKinley or whatever it is." He got one of those days. Just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always paying attention depending on where I'm traveling, because I prefer to have the aisle seat so I can get up, and go to the bathroom easier. But if I'm going over an area that is photogenic like this, I always take the window seat, for that reason. It's interesting. Someone here made a comment, window seat. Looks like a name for a great book. And there is such a book, right? Julianne Koss made that because she was traveling for Adobe so much. And she started taking pictures and made a book about the pictures that she would take from the plane windows.
Well, my guess is that that book's about 10 years old. She's an amazing instructor, amazing Photoshop artist, amazing photographer. But this is just a great example of what we can do, right, with our iPhone. And
Take the window seat.
I don't even know if dehaze was used, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't need it. It can be so clear outside. You know, I have found the biggest problem is the scum on the windows.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There scratches.
They're cleaning
Scratches, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, this is our first winter shot here. This is from John Natoff. You know, talk about a backlit shot with a good exposure of a backlit scene. This is amazing. I love the way these rays are coming up like that.
I really like the shot. The rays are great. And I know John, and he lives in Bend, Oregon. And he's always skiing or kayaking. He's a real active guy. What a wonderful capture. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what makes it when I do the workshops in Yellowstone, we're always looking for these kind of opportunities, but you need to have, you know, the right elements coming into play. You got to have either fog or the diamond dust in the air to create those rays coming out, and the sun needs to be oftentimes kind of low in the sky. And this, you know, here you can see that all those things came into play for this. And I love the background that he's got. It gives you a feeling of place as well. Yes.
You know, the mood and the feeling, that's what's so important. Hey, Juan, maybe you could do smartphone workshops in Yellowstone. You get some good shots, mostly landscape.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like Mike Cullivan said earlier, you know, when I'm on these trips, you know, I have my big lens with my camera and then my iPhone. And that's about it. I don't hardly ever pull out my landscape lenses. It shoot landscapes with my phone, and then and just have my long lens. And you know, this rumor now is that the next iPhone is going to have a much longer telephoto lens.
I heard that, like 200 millimeters.
Right. So you never know. Maybe our big lenses are going to be endangered species too.
Who knows? So anyway, maybe Juan, you and Susan could do the iPhone workshop.
There you go. Absolutely.
I think it would be a hit. Now here's why we like this shot from Heather Roberts.
Oh, nice.
Action! Look how she stopped the action here. Again, if you wanted to get this shot with a digital SLR or a mirrorless camera, you say, okay, I have to set a shutter speed of like a 500th or 1,000th of a second, right? I have to focus here. I have to do this and that. I mean, Heather Roberts did a great job here, and the phone did a great job.
And this is my friend Heather Roberts.
Really?
This is Doggy Daycare, the farm where my little Harry goes 4 or 5 days a week. And Heather is a wonderful iPhone photographer, and she captures images of these guys like this all the time. The feet off the ground, the water puddles, and I'm really happy that she's starting to contribute some of her iPhone photography to the site, and I know she'll be thrilled when I tell her she made the list.
Well, it's very joyful. It makes you smile. You know what I mean? Because you could just feel. I love the dog that's on the right hand side with the ears going like you know, because the other two are chasing. Oh, it's wonderful. It's a fun, and uplifting piece. Yes.
And Susan, to your point, and it's one of Rick's Sammonisms, right? The camera looks both ways because that's Heather's personality reflected in the images that she takes.
And Rick would also say the dogs are separated, and that makes him very happy.
And the rule of odds, right?
There you go.
And it looks as though Heather was holding the camera down low.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I asked her why she doesn't use an SLR or she uses just the smartphone. And she says, I like to get down low and I have to get out of the way sometimes in a hurry, so I don't want a big camera when I'm doing it.
I don't want to get run over by the dogs. That's fun. That's a great shot. It's very joyful.
Okay, the next shot I was going to call Stairway to Heaven by our friend Sissy Fry, who was with us at Fossil Rim, where you've been, Alec. She calls this Beam Me Up Scotty. So Beam Me Up, maybe we could have a contest naming the pictures. Beam Me Up Scotty would be good, Stairway to Heaven. But I love, just like with that other picture, Juan.
This is another album cover. I don't know. We just need to get somebody to write the songs.
It's another album cover. The beam of light is going from the bottom right to the top left. A great exposure. The shoes there. add a sense of mystery. I love the feeling of it.
Yeah, and I like the way the light is, again, like we saw earlier, kind of diffused around that ray coming down. I don't know if this was in post, but the light, the way, if it was done in post, it was done a great job, because it kind of reflects the way the light is being reflected off the ground as well. So having that diffused light gives it, again, like that sense of mystery. And this is another one of those images where we're kind of looking at it and we're all coming up with our own little stories, like you guys just did.
Mm-hmm. I really like it. I don't know if Sissy's here. She posts a lot, so we're really happy
Sissy is here. And
well, Sissy, we're so happy that you're here. Keep posting. You're an inspiration. I know you've gone through some things lately, so good for you. Good for you. Photography really is great phototherapy.
Agreed.
Okay, we picked this because, nighttime shots. Again, if Juan and I were there leading the workshop with our mirrorless or digital SLR cameras, we'd probably say, okay, guys, set up your tripods, right? Do this and do that. Maybe use a cable release. Use mirror lockup to get a sharp shot.
Or use a timer. Set the timer on the camera,
We use a self-timer, right? But Andy Ogden did just a wonderful job. I might crop out this tree over here. Again, if it doesn't add anything, take it out. But look at the dynamic range where you can see into the sky. You can see inside the building. You have the trees illuminated. You have the lights here. We have the mist around the lights. I mean, the iPhone does an amazing job.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible, especially, in the progression that these devices have made over time. It's just unreal. And I think what we're going to be seeing is a lot more of that, with how powerful the processors are on these phones and how much they can do. Like we talked earlier with the HDR, that's done in real time. This computational photography that we're starting to see is just going to take our images way beyond anything we've seen before.
Oh, absolutely.
And Juan, the apps just keep on getting more powerful, easier to use.
Yep.
It's almost intuitive. It's really nice.
Well, I don't know if you saw that news, and this is straying a little bit here, but the guy who ran the computational photography whatever at Google just left Google and has now joined Adobe. And Adobe has said that they're going to come up with an app that's going to be one app to rule them all. That's going to be the one app that's going to be on all sorts of smartphone devices for photography. So we'll have to see what that's going to be like.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
now,
that would be cool.
Andy said he snapped this with Lightroom Mobile. Now with Lightroom Mobile, I don't use it, but you can shoot RAW, right?
Yep, you can shoot a RAW file, or you can take a file that you've shot with something else into Lightroom Mobile.
Right.
And he said he processed it while he was walking.
Yeah. See, I like the editing in Lightroom Mobile just because it mimics what you have in Lightroom. So the sliders are the same, all the controls are very similar. So it's not like you have to learn something new. But it's not as good like Snapseed or some of these others to create the really cool effects that we're seeing, a lot today.
Oh, wow.
Look at the sky,
Look at that sky
here.
Wow.
Now, Michael Smith did an amazing job with the composition, with the exposure. I just loved, that looks like that sky is just so massive and so heavy. And the reflection in the water, and some people might have said, I don't want to include, the pier there, but I think that really adds a lot. This is Long Island Sound.
Yeah. He said every year they go to Milford, Connecticut.
Well, that's not that far from here.
So it's shot on iPhone and processed in Snapseed.
So I think Snapseed is the big winner here.
Yeah,
today.
we've seen it mentioned in many posts until Adobe comes out with the new one.
Right. No, it's absolutely. Snapseed is still, even though, not much has been done to it as far as updating it and coming up with new features, it's still one of the best apps out there, right?
Really?
Oh, absolutely. That
I
is
love
a
the
stressed
frame. I love
FX.
the frame. You know, you get to know the frames in
The
Snapseed.
frames add a lot.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. Nicely done.
Okay, Tom Reese posts so many fun pictures. He was with us, right, Alec, in China? Yeah, he
Yes,
went
and he's here today.
yeah, he says he went to the dentist today.
Or was
Or was abducted by aliens, right? He said he might be more comfortable with aliens.
But again, this is what iPhone does so well. You're so free to just capture a moment. It's not intimidating. You don't have to tell somebody to move this way, move that way. Just snap the picture. Beautiful. Very funny.
Well, Tom, is Tom here, Alec?
Tom is, yes.
Okay, Tom, you have to let us know if you're in any pain. Okay.
Either that or he's very happy, one or the other.
Yeah, right.
If you had some gas, yeah.
So this is the.
He says, he said, I was at the dentist looking at this and asked her to pose for this photo at the end. Very fun.
Yeah, I think Tom is joining us. I'm not sure in Bosque. I know he's joining us somewhere on a workshop in the future. He's a great photographer and he's really skilled. He is, as you see with his composites, right, on the phototherapy Facebook group.
Yeah.
Do a search. Yeah. On the group, you can go on the top and do members and this little window and do a search. He's like the master in our group of composites. We really enjoy seeing his work. So Joe Doherty's picture, this is the last shot here. A nice black and white image. I love the shadows. I love the texture. I love the composition. And he says shot with Pixel 2. Wow, I really like this. Juan, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I love it too. I love the fact that we have all this detail in there, which is, kind of difficult for some of these phones to be able to capture all that detail in the highlights of the image. They lose oftentimes detail, but we see a lot of texture, a lot of beautiful detail on those petals. And I love that centerpiece, that pistil of the flower. There's so much cool little detail, all the little curly cues or whatever they're called, almost like little fiddleheads. Very neat. And the fact that we have, we do have a background, but the background is sort of, supporting our main actor, our main subject in the scene.
I might take out these little things, but that's just subjective. Well, let me stop screen sharing. Okay, we're out of screen sharing.
Rick, why don't you do a screen share again? Because otherwise we get split into threes. So we want to have 4 going at a time.
Okay, so I have to get back to that show. So I have to find out where that is.
No pressure, Rick.
No pressure.
No pressure. It's not glad it's not the NASA space launch.
I can't find. Oh wait, I can go to Keynote. Hold on.
Open up Keynote and look in the recents under File.
Right. File. File. Open recent. I can't find it. I have so many things on my screen.
Okay. Well, then Rick and Susan need to get a little closer together so everybody can see them.
Okay. We can do it. Well, we want to thank everybody so much for joining us. We want to thank Susan Sammon for inspiring us all. We want to thank our members for inspiring us all. Alec, any comments that you want to share?
People loved it. Tom did confirm he's going to be in Bosque.
Oh, great.
And I think there's a suggestion that we do this again because people are motivated now to get out there with their smartphones and create images. So we may want to make this a repeat topic later in the year. I will say, Rick, as much as people enjoy seeing you and Ron, there were you and Juan, I should say. Pardon me, Juan. They were all very excited to see Susan today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right up.
Well,
so Rick, whenever you can't make it, we know who can substitute for you.
Yeah. Next week it'd be like that.
It's fun. I love this subject because I shoot with my iPhone, and when I see other people's images, it's just wonderful. It's just great. So much creativity.
So we want to thank Susan Sammon for being here. We want to thank Alec for being our moderator. You're really an important part of this team, and we love working with you. And this Saturday at 11 o'clock, today's the 23rd, on the 25th at 11 o'clock, we have a special guest, Jim Griggs. He's going to be sharing some stuff. It's like a pop-up phototherapy. And we want to thank Juan for putting this all together. He has like 37 screens going on at the same time with the sound and the audio and the screen.
I think he's running a hedge fund over there.
I think he is. It looks like he's running a hedge fund. And of course, we really want to thank all our members. We're getting close to 2,000 members, right, Alec?
Very close. Yeah, we're
very close.
Very cool. Very cool.
We have 5 people waiting to join as soon as we're finished today.
Well, Alec gets up at 5:30 in the morning to either let people in or if they don't answer the questions, right?
If they don't answer the questions, or if they're putting up some sort of meme instead of a picture of themselves, we send them on their way.
Right. Well, listen, everyone, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. This is so much fun for us. It's great phototherapy. It's an escape from everything.
That's right.
All the craziness, right? All the craziness that's going on around.
Oh, it's good to get together and have this as a time and a place where we can all kind of get together and have a drink, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Alec, thanks for wearing that T-shirt. I mean, that collared shirt making me look bad. My T-shirt.
I said to Rick, I said, "What's the dress code?"
Yeah.
I said, "Should I get
I
you?"
read the memo. You sent me the memo. I read the memo.
You told me the dress code was cash.
Well, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll
Thanks,
see you
folks.
next week.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Place.
Take care, folks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.